Shai, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me for
Of
the
course,
show.
man.
My brother, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. Good. I'm missing the match. Yes.
Oh my
From
God.
my side, yeah.
Listen, believe me when I say this is worth it, because we're going to have some fun. You know, we're going to play some Snail Trail music as confirmed by Jimmy. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
okay. You can always watch the replay. You just can't live in the club, after the fact. So
Yeah, sure. At least, yeah. I mean, I'm anon. Like, I'm not anon exactly, but I'm not doxed. That
Sure.
I say. I mean, I'm in general a privacy-minded person. So yeah, even like my friends can't find me online. So yeah, I'm holding myself to it.
Man of mystery. I love it, man.
Man.
That's what's up. Well, we're really glad to have you here, representing the Snail Trail, the Slime Gang. Dude, we have kind of a long history with the Slime Gang here in the club. I think More JPEGs was one of our first guests. He's returned, I think, at least once. And actually we've raided your Twitch channel a couple times, Shai. So that's always fun. I think we'll have to do that at the end of today's show as well, of course. But if you wouldn't mind talking about yourself a little bit, just kind of like how you got involved with Snail Trail, how you got involved with crypto, and just kind of like, I always ask everybody first what their story is. You know what I mean? So if the chat could get to know you a little bit, we'd love to hear more about you, man.
Okay, sure. So originally my background is computer science, and I kind of did not I wasn't into crypto space at all since it at start. I was aware since the university. I knew Bitcoin since 2011, but I really didn't know the technical details or other stuff related to it. And I really didn't took the classes, but one way or another, fast forward after graduation, 3-4 years later, I applied for a job, and it was completely random stuff. And it was kind of government agency, military agency stuff.
Sure.
Like we were doing some stuff for both private companies, military, like different military groups of different countries. I mean, I can't talk about most of them, I guess. But yeah,
we don't want to get you in any trouble with any governments.
Yeah. Anyway, so I essentially applied for another job, but one thing led to another, and I find myself in a cryptography related project. And then I started learning about cryptography and the math behind it. It just clicked to me at an instant. Like there were professors that are teaching us regarding basic algorithms like AES, like signing algorithms, or like all the stuff that are the math that going in the behind. I learned that, and I learned that you cannot trust anyone, but you can trust the math. That's basically what crypto is. So, and I'm always was a math guy. So once I understand the math behind, I said to myself, okay, I have to invest in this. I have to put my, this is going somewhere. And I started investing in. I mean, at the time, it was at the top of it. So I actually waited, it was the bull run of 2017. And I waited to things to cool down. Around 2018, I think I bought my first Bitcoin back then.
Okay.
And fast forward to 2020, we are playing. I was still working at that job, but we were doing some research. Research stuff that enables you to cryptographically. Basically, we were doing something similar to hardware wallets like Ledger, where you keep your crypto, but it was mostly mostly sending messages, and it was a instant messaging kind of application.
Sure.
But so to make sure that like if your phone captured by an enemy, your message cannot be read by anyone. So around 2020, I'm also kind of gamer guy, and we were playing games with the Firestorm and his brother initially. And one day I remember, like, I was looking into, I mean, obviously from the start, I was looking into Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin ABC, the other stuff. And I was also following the Professor Emin Gün. And I was aware of the protocol Avalanche back then. And one day Firestorm talked about, like, I saw a message on the Discord channel that, or maybe a voice chat, but it was like, do you know anything about Avalanche, to the other guys? And I said that I don't know any other Avalanche than the crypto stuff.
Right.
Then
the pretty funny story, actually. Like, this is like, imagine a bunch of close-knit people, like they've been playing games for many years. This is a group that I somehow managed to join later than everybody else. Yeah. And they accepted me into the group, and I'm by far the worst player because they're not playing StarCraft. They're playing every other game that Blizzard made besides StarCraft.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just trying to keep my own, right? And then like the only value add I really had there was like, hey guys, let me tell you a little bit about Avalanche. And Shai was the only person that I actually knew what Avalanche was at the time. This is very early days. Either right before the launch of the project, like right before mainnet launch, or right after, like right around those super early days.
Sure.
Yeah. And turns out he was talking about same Avalanche, and it just clicked. Then we started talking about investments, crypto, Avalanche, everything. And somehow around the NFT hype beginning on 2021, we were playing like with the same group, like with my co-founder. We were playing a game called the Z-Run. It's a horse racing game on Ethereum.
Yep.
And we really liked the game. We bought horses, we spent thousands of dollars to buy horses. Turns out they are not horses, they are donkeys, they can't run. And then we figure out the algorithm, like find the good, like cheaper but the good horses. But somehow on the way we didn't like some of the mechanics there, and we thought that, all right, we can develop something better than this, and why not build it on Avalanche?
Yes.
And that's the story how it started. First we did a small one week challenge for us for another project. Like, we did a small project to see how crypto is working, like how the smart contracts, other stuff. Like, we weren't really into smart contracts until then, and we learned how to do stuff, how to integrate with crypto. Then around, I think, the October of the last year, we released our first version, like the basic template of website. We pitched our idea to people, to investors, to everyone around the Avalanche, and some declined the idea, some liked the idea, and eventually we get it going with the help of Firestorm, and we find more investors. And I kind of quit my job around October, and my co-founder, at that time we didn't have any money other than our own investments in crypto. So for nearly 6 or 7 months, we built the game, we built the stuff, because we kind of believed that we had to release every feature at the launch, so from the start users will be able to experience the breeding, racing, or trading in the marketplace. Back then there isn't any marketplace on Avalanche. You had to kind of build your marketplace as well. And around the April this year, we launched the NFTs, and on the day Luna crashed, we launched the game, I think. Yeah, that's the summary of how we got here.
I remember that. I remember
One
the
hell of
launch.
a story, I would say,
Yes.
because like very organic, and also like the progression towards what you guys are building kind of made sense to me, to be honest with you, right? All the power to you guys. And most importantly, and again, I want to highlight, and we kind of take pride in this, we invite folks from projects that are continuing to build, right? A lot of projects did go away, after the Lunas, after the 3ACs, after the FTXs, right? But there are a good number of real projects backed by real people that are still being worked on and that are still being built. Shai, why don't you talk a little bit about your roadmap, right? Obviously, first of all, like, you made a conscious choice to release a game that is basically fairly featured, meaning you had a lot of features versus chasing a single feature release and then running on hype. Like that's a different strategy than most other projects that we've seen. And tell us a little bit about how that went, what was good about it, what was bad about it, and what your roadmap entails going forward, I guess.
I think there are good parts and bad parts about it. So I'm just gonna mention both as well. Like it is not a strictly a good choice, neither a bad choice as well. For the good part, it is like as an not doxed team, it is important to show your work. So because people don't know who you are, don't know your background, and only thing they can trust is your work. So once they see your work, they can judge your talent, they can judge your decision making, or how it is going to be continued through the future. Like, is it gonna, like, are they gonna deliver the roadmap items? So the initial thing, we also didn't like the holding back the features. Like some of the projects back then was doing that, or just hyping around project and not really developing or releasing anything. We really did not like it wasn't an honest take on our part. If it that wasn't it didn't suit us back then, and we decided to launch with bunch of features and ready to go from the day one. But with that said, now today looking at, like, once the things fold up, like once I see how it progressed and why people are doing that, like why they are holding the features or not releasing, is kind of nature of the crypto. Crypto is very hype driven environment. So
At the time, I wanna just say that was the nature back then. I'm not sure if that's the nature now, to be honest with you. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. But I think at the time you were absolutely correct.
Yeah. So it was, at the time it was very hyped. Like overall crypto was, I mean, it will be hype driven as well in the future again, I guess. But once you promise something to people, like the idea of speculation is actually bigger than the utility of what you are offering. So there are, like, currently, I think, and I'm going to include this, probably people will criticize, but anything other than Bitcoin or Ethereum currently from my side is pure speculation. Like the utility is not matching the value of the projects at the moment. Like one of the most utility-driven projects is Chainlink, and it's not like the price action is not going well. Or Graph is another one that has a nice utility, but the action is contradicts. And on the other side, you can see stuff like Doji, Shiba, or Cardano. Like they are, instead of like delivering, you can always promise, promise a heaven ideology, like promised lands. We will reach there. It will be next year, or it will be next 6 months. And people, when you promise them something, people more usually inclined to believe that good narrative. Like you want that, you want to be rich, you want to make the right, like you want to do the right decisions, and you want to believe in that because it's a speculative thing, and it is certainly too good to be true at some point. Sometimes it turns out to be true, but yeah. But when you deliver something, it never matches the imagination of a person. Like our imagination, like it's an infinite field, and we can always dream bigger than what we can actually make. So if you deliver something, you will always get like fall behind of the people's imagination, and it's kind of not fits the nature of crypto. But eventually, if you constantly build and more build on top of your product more and more on every day, eventually you can get close to that point. But yeah, it will be a bumpy road on the way, I guess. That's my review.
I fully agree with this, right? Like one of the coolest tweets that I've actually seen somewhere, and I think I even like either quoted it or copied it or like modified it. It said that hype is the single best weapon a project has to create traction, etc. But you know, I think this was only true because there were stories like Solana or Avalanche ICOing and then reaching like pre-launch of mainnet. I think Avalanche reached 32x, right? Pre the token being launched, they were trading IOUs on LBank and various other exchanges at 32x the ICO price. And then shortly after launch, the price action was so big that it started creating these extreme expectations of people. I fully agree with you. Like the imagination aspect makes it a lot more difficult for tightly run, lean projects to deliver something that matches the imagination. But in reality, that imagination side effect came from the fact that there was a bunch of 30x's, 50x's, 100x's earlier in the market cycle, right? Now that we've hit the bear, those crazy expectations are, I think, gone, right? And the people who only were here to speculate and not really be part of the community or not really be part of this new change in technology are gone, right? Now you're left with a lot of builders and you've left with supporters, whether it's investors or whether it's, people that used to be part of the teams or just community members that have seen delivery cycles, right? I mean, even if you think about like the perfect products on Ethereum, stuff that looks good today definitely didn't look like that at all when they first launched, right? Prediction markets is one example of this. Exchanges is another example of this. Algorithmic loan protocols, games, you name it, right? And ultimately it comes down to the resiliency of the teams, and also more importantly, how strongly do the teams believe and align with their own vision that they set out with, right? And in that vein, I think, Snail Trail has been doing really well, right? Snail Trail had published a very clear and specific milestone-based roadmap. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what were the big items on your roadmap, which ones were delivered, and what's going to be delivered next? Because that's what matters in the end. As you said, product is being built, milestones are hit, and ultimately organic growth is much better than those giant overnight 100x's followed by big crashes, right?
Well, and you guys got a bunch of new features too, so I'd love to hear about all that.
So let's dive into roadmap. So from the start, we had clear set of goals for our project. We mentioned our laboratory system since the beginning, but at that time it wasn't it didn't really make sense to launch from the beginning, because you have some kind of population, snail population, to use them in the laboratory. And as we progressed through the game cycle, we saw how we can, like, what can be achieved and what can be done in that regard. So what's the Snail Trail basically is where you have Snail Trail like snail NFTs, little cute creatures that you can race with them or you can breed with them. So this is the basic cycle in most of the games. Like, you can breed with them. The utility usually are these. Like, you can use them in the game and you can breed with them to create new NFTs. And one idea back then was to implement a death mechanism. So the number of NFTs can have a deflationary effect as well. So with this, we launched the laboratory, where laboratory, you can burn your snails and you get some ashes from them. And in those ashes, you can find some items that you can upgrade your other snails, upgrade their earnings, earning potentials, upgrade their different traits. So your snail, you can basically make your snails better at racing by sacrificing not so
Those poor snails.
athletic ones. Yeah. So we launched in Q2, and in the beginning, one of the main goals was releasing, like, we are trying to reach many platforms to reach more people. Like, one of them is releasing Spotify albums, like Spotify, YouTube, Deezer, Apple Music. Like, people can, if they search about crypto, they will find our album. I don't know why they are going to search that in Spotify, but yeah, I mean, it's a user onboarding platform in the end. It's a marketing strategy.
Of course.
We released our albums, and up next was obviously Twitch. We released our Twitch integration. All of our races are essentially in queue, and they run one by one. So we are streaming all of our races 24/7. We have dedicated service for that, and they are running each race at the same time they are actually racing.
If I could ask our producer, just to interrupt you really quick, Shai, production, if we could get the Spotify and Twitch links on screen for the chat. There we go. Twitch.tv/Snail Trail Game.
Yeah.
And we'll work on getting your Spotify link up there so people can check you guys out, check out the albums, man, because we want to hear it. But please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
With these features, our main goal was to represent Avalanche. After all, we are building on Avalanche, and we want to represent Avalanche on every other platform. We want to make sure our voice comes loud as possible. So one of them was the Twitch. In Q3, our goals was creating a in-game shop system where we can sell different type of cosmetics or items. The idea currently, it has only a single item, but the infrastructure has been built. So in the future, we can easily add much more stuff to that. So we implemented an in-game shop system other than the marketplace. You can always sell your snails or snails genes to other people. But now with the shop, we will be able to actually introduce different kind of items.
That's awesome.
And following Q3, one of our biggest roadmap items was the isometric view. So originally, we had a bird eye view, 2D view, where you can see your snails racing, but it was a bird eye view. And to differentiate your snail from the others, we were able to use only the colors. We can only represent the colors of your snails, so you can visually distinguish your snail from the others while they are racing. Obviously, this is, while it was a nice beginning point for the MVP, we always wanted to make sure that people's NFT, like the actual visuals of NFTs, are represented in the racing view. So we actually launched isometric view in this quarter. In isometric view, it's basically similar to 3D, but it is like some people, like it is more, people can understand it more easily when I said 3D, but it's the technique called is isometric. So it's isometric view. You can actually see your snails, like traits, heads, body shape, or their shells. All the features are reflected. Again, this is not a utility. I mean, it's not a functional utility. Right. It's a branding and marketing utility. Sure. So after all, once we release that, people might say after 10 minutes, okay, what's next? Like, this isn't like, it's not going to feed me. I'm not going to take advantage of this. I'm not going to gain anything from this. But in the end, it's a big improvement for the brand. Like,
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Are there actual 3D implemented games, particularly race games out there? I think every single one is isometric out there, right?
I mean, on Zedrun, like they have 3D. I think the Zedrun has 3D version, but all of them are started with 2D versions, and their 2D versions far less detailed than ours. Like the Zedrun's 2D version is basically dots on the screen. They are just moving up and down, like not even a horse image or something like that. But the main challenge is we have 5 different species, like 5 different families. Each has a different body type and has different characteristics. So in story-wise, in lore-wise, they has to move or act differently than others because they are different family. Also, we don't have a single model. Like, we have a bunch of different visuals that has to be represented. In the end, I think we calculate this. Since it is randomly generated and cannot be like, if you have a specific visual, it cannot be generated again. It is unique. And there are, with the color combinations, 8 trillion different combinations for snails. Like, it can be up to that. And yeah.
It's a lot of snails.
Yeah, I mean, we are currently at the 13,000, I guess. But yeah, and
I was gonna ask that. Like, originally, obviously, I had the privilege of working with you guys a little bit on this as well. The economy side on Snail Trail was pretty like, a lot of time was spent in designing it, right? And I remember seeing the projections with respect to the growth of number of snails. And I guess, a key question here is, was the team on point with respect to the projections, i.e., did the snail population grow on track, or did it grow slower, or did it grow faster, given that the market has been quite different than what we originally saw? Like, what was your take on it? Was the economy, specifically the NFT population, as well as the token sort of circulation stuff, were they in line with what you guys expected?
Yeah, I mean, it is what we calculated from beginning. Like, the formulas are done to represent that. So it is like, it follows the formula, so it fits our projections. And what's good about our formulas, it is similar to Bitcoin's difficulty. Like, you cannot breed too much. At some point, it will be too expensive to breed.
Right.
So our formulas is dynamic. So if people breeding too much, the breeding price will increase and increase and increase. And at some point, it will not make sense to breed. So it will go back into the routine. So until someone is willing to spend that amount of tokens to breed again. It's same dynamic theme is also available for burning. It is again dynamically adjusted. Like, one of the things I hate about the games, like regular games, the changing rules. I hate the rules of the game is changing. Like, they patch something, they nerf your hero, they buff your hero.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good when they buff, but
Right.
when they nerf an item and you spend 100 hours to get that item, it's very frustrating.
That's the worst.
One thing we wanted to make sure is that the like formulas for breeding and laboratory is dynamic, so that even the worst economical conditions, price can just go down, and even the best economic conditions, price can, like, it can follow the hype, and it can also follow the no one using the, if no one uses the platform, it can decrease down and still make sense. People, like, still in a level to, how can I say, balance everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's a formula that balances some of the activity on the platform and in effect affects the population growth such that it's better controlled within some envelopes, right? Like you have envelopes around your projection and it sort of allows it to smoothen itself out. Very cool.
Very much.
I guess, taking one step back, I know, and now hopefully our audience also knows that you guys are down and you guys are building. But what is your sort of take on the general blockchain and crypto-based gaming? Like, do you see, obviously there was a big drop since, early 2021. Do you see it getting more and more integrated into the larger studios that are producing games, or do you think it's taking a pause? What do you think is going to happen in the next, 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so our take, I think I can start with explaining our next goals first and our general take on the issue. So next goals, we want to make we want to increase the social aspect of the game in Snail Trail. We introduced a profile page for users. Users can now create their profile page, set usernames, set NFTs as profile avatars. And this quarter, maybe end of the year, maybe early Q1, we will be introducing the guilds. You will be able to create guilds and you will be able to do stuff with your friends and gain a competitive advantage against other racers. Like, we are trying to increase the social aspect of the game in that regard, because after all, the crypto projects requires a strongly bonded community, and one of them is allowing people to form guilds, form groups in our game.
That's great.
Thanks. That's the idea for now. And for the game itself, once we complete these guilds and tournament stuff, we have different ideas to expand our game and marketing strategy beyond the crypto levels. And what I have observed so far is we are trying to turn crypto people into gamers. And this is a small subset of people that live in the universe.
It's both crypto understanding guy and willing to play games versus, I would argue, the gamer audience out there today that play games probably far eclipses the people who know how to use crypto, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you continue to try turning crypto people into gamers, it will mostly fail because the incentives are different. People wants to make money in crypto.
Yeah.
They are not here to play the games. They want to make, like, if they can make money playing your game, they will play your game. But if not, they will not. So going forward, we will be mostly focusing on turning regular gamers into crypto people rather than the opposite. So that's our goal for the future. And overall, I think one of the nicest thing about crypto is tokenization of assets. Like, a firm can tokenize anything they have. Like, anyone can turn any value into tokens, either NFTs or ERC-20 regular tradable tokens. So why I'm saying this, because this allows game studios to share their somehow, like they can share their revenue with their users, or allow them to sell their assets and exit the game anytime they want.
Right.
This is one benefit of gaming. I mean, if we pitch this idea like the ownership of the assets to the gamers, most gamer will understand the value of this. And the main problem is the NFT bros are trying to bring gamers into crypto, just like similar to how they approach the pyramid schemes or like Ponzi schemes. Like they fetch, oh bro, you can buy this NFT and then you can sell another, like more stuff.
Right.
Instead, the idea, what we believe is, our current motto is own your play. Like you are spending your time. That's the one thing you cannot convert. Like you literally spending your time to play a game, and after you got bored, you cannot do anything with that time, anything with that asset. Like you have a character, you have a weapon. Now you don't want to play this game and you want to migrate another one. And essentially your experience that is accumulated through this character or gameplay is sitting there, and you can translate into it anything. With crypto games, you can actually sell you can exit a game with selling all of your stuff, then you can move on to another game.
Right.
And someone else that wants to play that same game can take those assets from you, and they can continue playing the game, or they can start the playing game.
Absolutely.
But in general sense, I think the classical gaming studios will not turn into this model. I think because this is a big, like they already have the audience, they already have the users, they already gain.
They have the distribution channel, right? The big distribution channel, the Steams or the Epic Games, whatever installers already exist on people's computers. That's the big edge.
They already have the market. They already, all of the income or revenue already streaming into them. Like they don't lose anything. They only, like Steam takes some cut, okay, but they are not paying anything to any users. But once you move a game into the crypto, suddenly people start to actually take the market share, some of the market share from you, because they are trading as well. They are selling your assets instead of you. So this, in the end, if the company's reach doesn't expand exponentially when you transfer to crypto, it is not a positive value add to your product or your company. I'm not sure if I can word it correctly, but I I tried to say, if you move your company from you already have the user base, you already have the nice income stream, why you should move your game to crypto while you already
you have to get disrupted first, right? You need to see clear signs of disruption so that you make that change to adapt. But until you need to adapt, you wouldn't, right? Like there's multiple sayings for this. Don't rock the boat, or don't fix what's not broken. I can probably come up with even a few different language ones. But I mean, that's exactly the challenge we have. So we need projects like yours to come along and create that disruption and make the big studios realize, hey, there's a new world out there. And, incentives is one part of it, fun is another part of it, and good product is the other part of it, right? In the end.
Exactly. And we will be, like, our main goal, we will be trying to do this. Like that's why we are starting on crypto. It is already hard to build a game or start a startup on the regular gaming industry. It is like too competitive. It is very hard to start on that level. But on a new field, the big guys already have enough money to run their stuff, so they don't actually care about crypto or the new shiny thing. But if you Yet. If you
I love new
migrate,
shiny things myself. I don't know.
if you migrate to this field early, and if you actually become successful, the return is like enormous. I think that's what I believe, and
Agreed.
we will
That's
make
what we all
sure.
believe.
Yeah,
That's why we're
yeah,
all here. So
yeah, that's, and we want to just make sure that we will bring enough gamers to Avalanche, and that's
Yeah.
our main goal at the moment. Like, once we complete our roadmap, like we have few items that left until the end of year, maybe early Q1. Once we complete those, we will be stepping into Web2 gaming area, and we will try to convert regular Web2 gamers into crypto people.
Oh boy, watch out.
Yeah.
I mean, for whoever's left still, right, in the ecosystem in crypto, I think it is important to reflect on the events of the last 2 years, and I don't mean market events, right? I mean, what were the projects that built what they said they would build? What were the projects that are still around, still basically shipping new things, still creating value for their users, right? You know, whether it's a game or it's a DeFi protocol, etc. I think those are the things that matter. And these are lessons learned, right? In the end, you know, hype lasts only so long before the big crash. And, you know, hopefully, you know, the audience in the community is going to come out of this entire cycle a lot better. And, you know, snails will be still around and they'll be racing. So,
absolutely,
awesome stuff, dude.
And we hope to be there for it. Shai, I got to ask you two things. We talked a little bit before the show, so I have an idea of what you're looking for when I play a little bit of music to take us out. We talked about your favorite song from the second Snail Trail album, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to reveal it to the crowd yet. Just know that I am going to play when we do some music in a little bit. We got more stuff to do here, guys. We got a trophy reveal. We got to spin the wheel. But we're going to play Shai's favorite song off the second Snail Trail album when we end the show. All right. So Shai, when we have more Snail Trail features that are revealed, more stuff from the roadmap that comes to light, would you come back to the show to talk to us some more about it?
Yeah, of course. I'm always down to. As long as the Firestorm invites me, I'm here.
Yeah, we'll twist his arm. We'll do what we can.
You're always welcome. Thanks for coming, Shai. Much appreciated, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Shai.
We'll see you around.
Okay.
Slime gang.
Let's go.